Welcome to Naughty Relationship Stories, where passion, drama, secrets, and unexpected twists come alive. I wasn't planning for the night to spiral out of control the way it did. Honestly, my husband had to go on an emergency work trip and I had been lounging around the house, wearing nothing but a silky floral robe that barely stayed closed, and maybe a small part of me liked the way it made me feel. Exposed, teasing, and dangerous. The first surprise came when my brother-in-law showed up at my door, unannounced, asking if he could rest for the night while passing through town. Of course I said yes. Family, right? He smiled, a little too warmly, and headed upstairs to crash, leaving me alone again. Or so I thought. Because not even 20 minutes later, another knock came at the door. This time it was a delivery guy, a young, lean man with messy hair and mischievous eyes, holding a package addressed to my husband. But it wasn't the box I noticed. It was the way he looked at me. The way his gaze dipped down and lingered over the curve of my body, the loose tie of my robe, the bare skin just barely hidden underneath. Something inside me snapped. Maybe it was the boredom, maybe it was the thrill. But I didn't just take the package and close the door. No. I stepped aside and invited him in. It didn't take much. A playful glance, a brush of my hand. Before we were pressed against the wall, the package forgotten on the floor, our bodies tangled in reckless hunger. His hands roamed over me and I let him. I wanted it. I needed it. I had him right where I wanted him, breathless, desperate, when suddenly, another knock. Insistent. We both froze, our bodies pressed together, hearts hammering. Panic flared in his eyes, but I smirked. "Hide," I whispered, pointing toward the hallway closet. He disappeared inside just as I tightened my robe, wiped the heat from my face, and turned toward the door. I had no idea the night was just getting started. I opened the door with my heart still racing, trying to act composed. I hadn't even caught my breath from what had just happened, and now someone else was standing at my doorstep. But this time it was him. The mailman. The one I'd seen around the neighborhood for months. The man who made eye contact and held it. Who walked with the quiet confidence of someone who didn't need to prove anything. And that day, he was especially sharp and clean, like he knew someone would be watching. "Evening," he said, voice low and smooth, handing me a stack of envelopes. "Didn't expect to catch you at the door." His eyes slid over my robe, slowly, deliberately. My stomach tightened. He wasn't trying to hide the fact that he liked what he saw. "Well," I said, biting the corner of my lip without thinking, "you caught me at a complicated moment." He raised an eyebrow at that. "Complicated, huh?" I could still feel the young delivery guy's heat lingering on my skin, the sensation of his hands, his breath. And now here I was again, standing in front of another man I'd secretly thought about more than once. This was insane. I should have shut the door, smiled politely, gone back to pretending I was a proper loyal wife. But I didn't. Instead, I stepped back and opened the door a little wider. "Come in," I said, almost daring him. He accepted the invitation without hesitation. His boots echoed softly on the hardwood floor as he walked inside. I was painfully aware of the hallway closet, and the boy hiding inside it. I didn't care. Or maybe I liked it. The mailman turned to me, smirking slightly. "So, what exactly is complicated?" I moved toward him slowly, every step deliberate. "Let's just say," I whispered, "I've had a lot of unexpected deliveries today." His eyes darkened, and before I could say another word, his hands were on my waist, pulling me close. His mouth brushed my neck, his breath hot against my skin. This was different. He wasn't hungry and reckless like the first one. He took his time, took control, made me feel like I was being devoured inch by inch. And I let him. Right there in the living room, while just feet away, another man sat in silence, forced to watch and wait. When it was over, the mailman straightened his shirt, kissed the side of my neck like he owned it, and whispered, "You ever want another delivery? You know where to find me." Then he left, calm, satisfied, like nothing had happened. The door clicked shut. I stood there, shaking, still drunk on adrenaline, breathless, flushed, when the hallway closet creaked open, and the young delivery guy stepped out. His eyes were darker now, hungry, and he wasn't leaving until he had his turn. I stood in the center of the room, still breathless, still trembling. The door had just clicked shut behind the mailman, and before I could gather myself, he walked towards me slowly. But something about him had shifted. His eyes weren't wide and nervous like before. They were darker now. Focused. Intense. He had just watched everything, heard every breath, every moan. And now it was his turn. I swallowed hard, the weight of the moment pressing into my skin. Neither of us said a word. His movements were more precise now, like he had all the time in the world. His fingers brushed against my waist and I felt a shiver ripple through me. "You didn't stop," he finally said, his voice low, rough. "You knew I was watching, and you let it happen." I didn't deny it, because he was right. There was a twisted thrill in knowing he had seen it all. The way I gave in, the way I melted for another man right in front of him. "I wanted you too," I whispered, the words spilling out of me like a confession. That was all it took. He pressed me against the wall, lips hovering just inches from mine. His hands weren't tentative now. He gripped me like he owned me, like watching had only fueled him into something bolder, more demanding. There was no hesitation, no fear. Just raw, unfiltered hunger. He wanted to prove something, that even after watching someone else have me, I still belonged to him, if only for a moment. And I let him. I let him take what he needed. Because I needed it too. When it was over, he lingered for a beat, lips brushing the shell of my ear. "That was worth the wait," he murmured, then pulled back with a smirk. No promises. No goodbyes. Just the quiet confidence of a man who knew he'd gotten exactly what he wanted. The door shut behind him. Silence fell again. And for a moment I just stood there, wrapped in my robe, skin flushed, hair a mess, breath still uneven. But then it hit me. I had completely forgotten about my brother-in-law upstairs. My stomach twisted. I had to check on him. Make sure he hadn't heard anything, or worse, seen something. So I climbed the stairs, step by cautious step. I pushed his door open, heart pounding, ready to cover my tracks. But when I walked in, he wasn't asleep. He was sitting on the edge of the bed. Eyes locked on mine. Every part of his body firm and ready. "I saw everything," he said with a wicked grin. "And unless you want me to tell your husband." He didn't have to finish the sentence. I knew what he wanted. And the worst part? I had wanted him too, long before tonight ever happened. I froze in the doorway. My heart was pounding in my chest. Not from fear, not even from guilt. But from something darker. Something deeper. Something I had tried to ignore for far too long. He was sitting on the edge of the bed, shirt off, one hand resting between his legs, still heavy with the image of everything I had just done. "I saw it all," he said again casually. "Every second." My mouth went dry. I should have been mortified. I should have run. Slammed the door. Pretended none of this ever happened. But I didn't. Because the truth? I had always noticed him. Even years ago, before I married his brother. There was something about him that felt dangerous. Like he knew things about me I hadn't even admitted to myself. He stood up slowly, walking toward me, eyes locked on mine. There was no shame in his stare. Just hunger and power. "Relax," he murmured, brushing a strand of hair behind my ear. "I'm not going to tell anyone. I'm not here to ruin your little secrets." I let out a shaky breath, unsure if it was relief or anticipation. "But," he added, lips dangerously close to my ear, "I think it's only fair I get a taste of what you've been handing out downstairs." My breath hitched. He wasn't just blackmailing me, not really. Because deep down, I wanted this. I had wanted him for years. No, there was no one else around. No pretending. No excuses. Only heat. Only him. Only this moment. His hands found the tie of my robe and slowly pulled it loose. "You're shaking," he said softly, tilting my chin up. "I know," I whispered. But not from fear. I didn't stop him when he kissed me. Didn't stop him when he backed me up toward the bed. Didn't stop him when he took his time, like he'd been waiting forever and wasn't going to rush a single second. And I definitely didn't stop myself. Because in that moment, I wasn't anyone's wife. I wasn't thinking about rules or lines or consequences. I was just me, and he was him, and nothing else mattered. When it was over, we lay there in silence, our skins still buzzing, my robe on the floor. His smile slow and satisfied. But just as I thought it was over, he pulled me close again and whispered against my neck. "We're not done yet." And just like that, my night was filled with hot, steamy passion. When morning came, I thought I would feel different. I expected regret, guilt, maybe even shame. But instead, I woke up tangled in sheets that still smelled like him, my body aching in a way that had nothing to do with sleep. My robe was somewhere on the floor. The room was quiet, but not calm. I could still feel his hands on me. Still hear the way he said my name, low, almost reverent, like he'd waited years to say it that way. I sat up slowly, pulling the blanket around me, trying to gather myself, trying to tell myself that last night was a mistake, that it couldn't happen again, that it shouldn't. But then, I heard the shower running. The sound echoed down the hallway like a siren call, steady, soothing, dangerous. And then his voice called out through the steam. "Come in." 2 words. Soft. Simple. But they pulled something out of me I couldn't deny. I didn't even think. I just stood, let the blanket fall, and walked straight into the bathroom. The room was filled with steam, warm and thick. The glass of the shower was fogged up, but I could still see the outline of his body inside. Tall, strong, completely at ease. The door opened with a slow creak. He didn't turn around. He didn't have to. He just said, "I knew you'd come." I stepped inside, the water cascading over both of us instantly. It was hot, soothing, but it wasn't the water that made my skin burn. It was the way he pulled me against him, no hesitation. The way he kissed me like he owned me now, like he had claimed something that could never be taken back. This wasn't fast or frantic like before. It was slow and intimate. A surrender. I let myself melt into him, into the heat, into everything we weren't supposed to be. Because in that shower, with his hands on my hips and his mouth tracing every inch of my neck, I wasn't pretending anymore. I didn't care what it meant. I didn't care about the risk. I didn't care who he was to my husband. I just knew one thing. I was his now. And I didn't want him to stop. Thanks for watching. And don't forget to subscribe for more spicy stories.